Okay. So I begin here. All the languages of the world are based on signs. This is one important thing. The second is all signs, okay, have two sides. Okay. Is this all signs have two sides? Now, one is signifier and the second is signified. Okay. So this signifier may be and signified is uh, what uh, meaning we derive. Signifier is, for example, uh, if we say the word glass in English, okay. So signified here means uh, a container, okay, uh, that holds hmm, that can hold a certain amount of water, liquid, whatever that holds that, let us say, has the capacity uh, to hold liquid, etc. Okay. Now, when we talk like this, then we are talking of, so if we talk like this, that is, we have a language and we have a language here. Signified is also in language. Okay. So when we talk like this, then we say this is symbolic. Okay. Which means text, text, that these are alphabets, and we have supplied more alphabets to explain that. So the meaning is here. Now, if somebody does not understand this meaning, then one can use another language. So this is symbolic. Then there may be, you see, uh, I iconic, iconic. Now this means uh, it has signifier and signified. Okay. Now signifier here is a picture, and signified therefore will be an image. Okay. So uh, signifier, for example, if I say like this, okay, or I make a design like this, okay, or I make a design like this. Now this is also a language. I'm using a language here. This is also a language on this side. So signifier are these. Okay. So what is the signified here? That is the meaning. So signified is also this. The signified is also this. So this is called the visual world, which is iconic. Okay. So symbolic is the languages like French, German, Hindi, English. Iconic are pictures, images. Now, they may be pictures, images, icon. We call them icons or statues, or there are number of traditions of this kind of language. So this is also language. This is so symbolic, iconic. Now, our Bhimaina say is so in let me just finish it. And the third is indexical. Okay, which means like example is smoke, suggests fire. This is the example here. So this has the signifier and the signified. So signifier is there anyone waiting for me? No. So signifier and signified. Okay. So signifier, for example, here I make it say uh, this is signifier. Um, so let's say uh, okay, and so let's say some smoke is here. Okay, smoke and right, some smoke is here, and that smoke also has some reddishness about it or so. Okay, so this may now signified maybe now that is speculative, but and it needs verification. Okay, so but this is how people understand. So the speculation may be fire. When they go closer, it is possible something else is there. But this is an example how we construct meaning. So you see, these are three examples. And now, so indexical, okay, indexical, symbolic, and iconic. So symbolic are languages. So let me write here like French, English, Sanskrit, Pali, okay, like this. Then pictures and these are the combinations people make. And uh, now, so if we see uh, Bhimaina, Okay. Now, so Dalit icon in India's modern history. Uh, his life being told, okay, by using all three uh, uh, modes of languages. Okay, all three modes of languages: uh, symbolic, iconic, and indexical. Okay, uh, in Gond art tradition, in uh, Gond, that is, they are Dalits. Gond Dalit art tradition. So, okay. So ultimately, what are we going to know from here, from this book, is uh, that is the what will be the outcome? Hmm. One will be uh, knowledge of India's modern history and caste question. Okay. Number two, uh, Bhim Rao Ambedkar's struggles for education and representation of Dalit lives in mainstream in uh, upper caste dominated mainstream of India. Okay. Number three, what we will know, uh, Gond art as a Dalit uh, medium of visual art. Okay. Fourth, we'll know uh, polit the study of political relations in a caste uh, dominated society. Okay. And then uh, we also say in the outcomes, we can also add number 5 is role of modern education in the lives of the low caste. Okay, that is Dalits and Sudras. 6, uh, what we know is colonial period and opening of education to the uh, Dalits, Sudras, and women. Then 7, contemporary questions on caste and reservation. Contemporary question on caste and reservation. Uh, misunderstandings. Okay. And then 8, that is political ideology in water, shelter, and travel. Okay. Water, shelter, and travel. That is not, these are not free from political ideology. And then another point is interreligious relationships. Another point is uh, religion and caste. Okay. 9 is interreligious uh, relations and caste. Okay. Then 10th is uh, conversion, religion, and uh, conversion as empowerment. Okay, that is the uh, yes, and finally we may say language as and thought relationship. Okay, so language here means all kinds of languages. Uh, all kind of sign systems, all kinds of sign systems. Yeah. So you see, this is what uh, we will be uh, doing. So is there any question here on these three kinds of symbolic, iconic, and indexical? Indexical, let me make it. Indexical. Okay, that is. Yeah. Any questions on this now? Before and then I start the graphic novel. So there I'll be using symbolic, iconic, and indexical. These terms I will be using. Okay, and reading this graphic novel, Bhimaina. Okay, now if you look at these three terms, you can understand that languages or these. Okay, there are some people. Mukta Sarda Akanksha Chaudhary. Okay, so you see here, uh, if you look at these three, what do you notice is that these three, that now one thing is that languages, uh, say languages, okay, are signs. That is, we may call a language a sign system. So we may call a language a sign system. So the language may be of made of sounds or graphics, like these letters. These are graphs, and then or maybe pictures, images, icons, statues. Okay, or maybe indexical, like one picture suggesting the meaning which is hidden, which is not visible, but you can speculate. Uh, for example, most of the advertisements use indexical language. Indexical, for example, a woman model is made to stand near a washing machine. So that is indexical. Uh, why do they not ask a male to stand near a washing machine? Because male is yet not an index, and male will be indexed in some uh, male dominated activities. Okay, so that woman and that washing machine relationship produces a meaning. Now we don't know what meaning is produced for the audience, but the audience can stay there and attend that washing machine for longer time. And now another things may be added to the model. For example, the clothes, the light, the color. So ideally, we don't have a black woman in India's advertisements. We always have a white woman, or a woman who looks uh, closer to metropolitan woman. So we don't have a rural woman standing near a washing machine and then that advertisement. Similarly, most of these celebrities or cricket stars, film stars are used in selling, for example, cold drinks or wine or cigarette or camera or clothes. So uh, they what kind of indexical language do they produce? For example, smoke suggests fire, and if Sachin Tendulkar uh, is advertising Pepsi, having a sip of Pepsi, and says "Wah" or something like that, what meaning does that produce? That is indexical. Okay, so which means that uh, it becomes for us to it produces a mysterious message, sounds or dhvani, a kind of dhvani, and that dhvani holds our attention. So the idea is to hold the attention in the very competitive market. So I think this is what. And now uh, one can understand through these sign systems, one can understand that these sign systems are as old as our civilization is. Okay, so introducing oneself to the visual world or visual language or to the other languages or the indexical languages is, now this is historical and political and cultural and domination, uh, then oppression, praise, all kinds of tropes are found in. So you see, if you look at this entire, all these languages, they are historical, they are historical, they are uh, ideological, okay, they are uh, political, okay, they are uh, oppressive, okay, uh, suppressive, okay, promotional. I mean, depends on what is happening there. So you see, we have to understand the characteristics. So suppressive or more promotional, okay, and we may say cultural, okay, and let me say religious, G-I-O-U-S, religious, okay, and uh, so they may be tribal, okay, tribal, feudal, okay, or medieval or modern, okay, or postmodern, that is also possible, okay. For example, if you wear a jeans that is torn from 3 places, 4 places, that visual is postmodern, okay. And similarly, structuralist, okay, then maybe post structuralist, okay. So you see, all of these possibilities are there, and uh, you know that here, okay, so all of these possibilities are there of these languages, therefore are to be understood in this context, that they form not only a medium but a history, they form ideology, they form political relationships, they form the relations of oppression or the relations of suppression, religion, tribe, feudal, modern, postmodern, structuralism, and so on and so forth. Okay, but they also form, say, liberation. Okay, that is also possible. That possibility is there. We cannot deny, I mean, resistance, okay, liberation, emancipation, okay, and justice, okay, uh, marginal voices, okay, then uh, healing, voices, etc. Okay, so that possibility is very much there. Okay, so in a way, this is the second aspect of it. Okay, you got it?
Yes, sir.
Right. So we are here with our full understanding of this book, and we are ready to go. So this entire, you can take a screenshot, you can put this in your project also. So all of these screenshots you can put in the project. Okay, I will be giving you a project. All right, and this is quite important, this this screenshot. Okay, where you have anyone who has not yet understood symbolic, iconic, and indexical, please, someone who is yet not clear, uh, who was asking me in the beginning to repeat this? uh, is this okay for you now?
Yes, sir. It is clear.
Right. Okay, so I stop sharing this, and now we go to the other share. Okay, so here we have the book. Let's go fast and try to follow. Yes. So on the cover page, you can see the title. What you see, for example, when you look at the text here, because this is a graphic novel, therefore you must understand that the uh, importance of the graphic novel lies in reading all kinds of lines and all kinds of shapes, sizes, including the lines. For example, if you look at here, the font, the selection of font, or if you look at the selection of font here, okay, or if you look at the publisher's logo, okay, and all of these are, so there is a deliberate choice of uh, taking these fonts. So this Vimana is not stable, still stable, dark, thick. The lines are very thick, they are dark, but the B, for example, this kind of B, okay, this B is, if you look at the bottom part here, here you have more stability at this part, but there is a movement also. So if you look at this calligraphy or this font selection, so this tells about the movement, the strength in the lines. Okay, the struggle. There is a struggle also among these letters. Okay, this is not uh, like this here. Okay, there is less struggle here in. But if you look at this here, so this becomes. I mean, this is uh, this is a design, but the selection of font is again very interesting. It's the same, bolder, and then experiences of untouchability. If you look at the selection of font here, now who has said what? John Berger and Arundhati Roy. Okay, John Berger has written an extraordinary, calls it an extraordinary book. Okay, and Arundhati says this is unusually beautiful, unforgettable. Okay, and then distinctive, challenging in all the right ways. Joy Sacco. So these are three important comments here from three uh, very famous people on art, literature, culture, visual world, and so on and so forth. And here you see there is a change. Generally, you meet. This is iconic. Okay, so So you see, in this, we can read all three languages. Okay, we can read the icon, and we can read symbolic. So this is, for example, symbolic. Okay, whereas this is iconic, this picture. Now, this icon is not very much suggestive of Bhim Ram Ambedkar that you know. So you have seen his statues, you have seen his pictures, but in Gond art, Bhimrao Ambedkar is viewed from this. This is the hand that holds the book, the Constitution of India. So the full, you see, the full hand is not visible here. That is on the other side of the back page. This is the hand. So this hand, so you see, you have unusually different representation of the icon of Bhimrao Ambedkar in popular imagination. In popular imagination in India, Bhimrao Ambedkar is someone who stands tall and has the book and wears a spectacle, okay, and has a tie, okay, and a coat. You see, so that is his costume is a revolt from all kinds of Indian medieval or ancient costumes, because the costumes of India did not give the right to Dalits to wear clothes. So you see, Bhimrao Ambedkar's own imagination about his own costume and about his body's representation in the popular imagination was a revolt. How was it a revolt? Gandhi's image was never a revolt, rather it was assimilating uh, the village of India and the image of a farmer, the image of a Brahmin, or the image of somebody who is simple and who doesn't desire for more, and who is satisfied with oneself, who is a truth seeker. So Gandhi projected image in that sense, or whoever were promoting Gandhi in Indian politics, they were conscious of projecting his visual image in that sense. But Ambedkar was just opposite to Gandhi, not only in ideas, but also in his representation of his visual appearance in the Indian imagination, popular imagination. So one can understand Ambedkar as a modern or as a president of United States, one who went to USA, England, and studied and earned highest degrees. And then when he came to India, he came with a new image. And that image was very much of the European roots, or the enlightenment period of Europe and of modern education. And it was more of somebody who uh, could not be easily comprehended by Indian upper casteist imagination. Why? Because upper casteist imagination wanted to see him as a Dalit, as an oppressed, as a low caste, as who did not study, could not go, or was born as a scavenger, and was always at the mercy of the upper caste. And the language that he would speak would not be sufficient to create thoughts. Okay, that language will be submissive. So you see, the upper casteist imagination of popular imagination in India reduced the Dalit represent Dalit identity, or the for example, Gandhi used the word Bahujan. So he reduced that into Bahujan. Okay. So was it Bahujan or another word Gandhi used? It'll come to my mind. Uh, 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 that is, that is a children of God. I understand. I have children of God. What is that Hindi word, if you remember? Uh, Harijan. Yes. So he used
Harijan.
the yes, he used the word Harijan. So in a way, he again, you see, gave them an identity, and he said they are also children of God. but he did not talk about their clothes or their education or their denied past, denied privileges and all that. So there was always a struggle going on between Gandhi and Nehru, so far as the question of caste in modern India is concerned. But Ambedkar, so just try to understand Ambedkar's image in Indian history, in the modern Indian history, and that image is uh, is threatening to the casteist mind. Why? Because he had acquired such a huge education, and his teachers were those, including John Dewey, who created modern USA and and education of modern USA. John Dewey. So John Dewey was behind the democracy and education of United States of America, and he was his teacher. Okay, so he was, in a way, trained by minds who were busy in creating democracy in the world, who were busy in bringing enlightenment to the world, civil rights, who were in favor of the freedom of blacks, who were in favor of the bringing blacks in the school and then educating them, and and show to the people that they regret for the slavery. Okay, all kinds of those traditions. Okay, so Dalit imagination, tribal imagination here on this cover page is very different. Okay, so there is innocence on this face, there is curiosity here, there is interrogation here. If you look at the eyes, these eyes are very typical eyes of gond imagination. You will come across these eyes not only in human but also in fish, in buffalo, or in cow, or in other animals. Okay, except those animals, including human, who want to somehow cruelly use their existence and uh, and exploit others. Okay, otherwise human as a biological being is curious, is innocent, and is looking forward. Okay, so okay, so you see, this is this is here that the uh, just a minute, I'm coming to this. Something happened to my laptop. Okay, I resumed it. Right. So I think so. This is what you need to think about this project. Okay, and now this is here the second page. I just removed this uh, now rest of the things by using eraser. Very interesting tools we have. Yeah. So what you look at, this is a very unusual index, what we call content index. It's not index, index is the last page. Okay. And here you see this image. Okay. So of course, again, you see symbolic. Here you have the words symbolic, and then you have iconic. Iconic is, for example, these two authors. Now the authors are tribal people. Here they are drawing these paintings, and look at their you see now what you see, that these icons are not like real human or real birds as we see them when we take photographs, or the modern art also projected them real, very real uh, to the human vision. Okay, but tribal arts do not are not photographic arts, and they do not use the rep they do not replicate the world by using the principle of the eye and depth and perspective. But rather, they use the perspective of their tradition, not the perspective of camera. or the modern perspective that was invented during Renaissance period for the world, which later on got translated into a camera, and from camera to the movie camera. And this is how, so for last 5 to 600 years, the journey of visual creation in the modern world has been highly influenced by the uh, okay, I'm just trying to raise some. Okay. Yes. So that has been highly influenced by the modern principle of perspective that was invented in the Renaissance and later on used by Christianity and by uh, colonialism, and that became the art of the world actually. And that entire idea of modernity, modern art, that emerged from uh, that kind of imagination. But you see, here you have tribal imagination. That imagine is not colonial. This imagination is not to really capture geographies of the world, and not to create maps which will ultimately result into colonizing the other people and their histories and their geographies, etc. Rather, these are these are arts that are autonomous and for the communication among the community members, not to capture the imagination and popular space of the world for selling the products, or creating uh, that kind of domain where ultimately it is the uh, profit, or it is the cunningness, or it is the shrewdness, or it is the interior motive of dominating and oppressing other people or capturing their economies. So altogether, the purpose, so historically it has developed, and this is two dimensional, this is very clear, not three dimensional the as we have the Renaissance perspective. Okay, so what we see here is that the picture holds these brushes, and there are no margins, and all of these animals and birds are represented, and this shape is also like a very familiar animal. Okay, kind of kachua turtle or so. And then at the bottom you see every page number is here. Very interestingly, you will note, so you can add this uh, to your uh, to the you can add this to, can you see this, where are the page numbers, if somebody, hello, can you see the page number here? Hello,
Yes, sir.
where are
Yes, sir.
they? Who is telling us the page number? Who is telling us the page number? Who is telling us the page number?
Some sort of creature.
No, these are the birds. You see these sparrows kind of thing, three sparrows. So they will be uh,
Yes,
tweet,
sir.
they will be tweeting us 1, 2, 3, 4 on every page. This you will notice. Okay, so I go ahead, and so so you can make meaning of here, and content part tells us one day, water, shelter, travel. This one day will introduce the problem of you see how, what the young people think about caste, what the young people think about reservation, and how a lot of misconceptions exist, like the reservation or quotas have taken our job, or they have taken our education, and so on and so forth. because they don't understand the history of even last 100 year or last 3000 years, that reservation is something that has been created to compensate compensation of last 3000 is here history of denial, and entire caste system is basically a system of reservations. So for thousands of years, upper castes have reserved water, they have reserved resources, they have reserved even their bodies. They do not marry to the lower caste, for example, or they have reserved law system for themselves, and discriminated even that if a Dalit kills a cat, then what is the punishment? If a Brahmin kills the cat, then what is the punishment? So you see, reservation is a political reservation in modern India by constitution is around 80 to 100 year to 100 year old. But the reservation that caste provides to upper caste, reservation of water, reservation of shelter, for example. So shelter is reserved. So if you visit to any village, you will find the uh, area of the Dalit Basti is a reserved area. Okay, and that has been there for hundreds of years. Reserve area is very small, and so many people live there, and they all go to the big village. So the village itself is a reservation for the people who own the more land, and they have caste privileges, caste domination, and the sastras and temples and well and other kinds of amenities. All of them are reserved for them. For example, the well of the main village cannot Dalits can't access water from there. Even they can't go to the temple, and so God is also reserved. Okay, so you see these are different aspects, and you can take care of them when you go through this novel. So a few things are here. Now this is the forward, very important. You go through this, and John Berger very rightly says that this is an extraordinary novel because it revives our hope in the world of justice. And this, although now visual spaces have become like malls, and all everything is on sale, and there are hardly any movements which can speak up the hidden and the unconscious and the repressed. Okay, but this novel does it, and so he welcomes it. And John Berger, you to know more about him, visit or search more about him. He is a pioneer in the study of visual art, visual design, cinema, and exhibitions. And he is known for his BBC series, Ways of Seeing, ways of seeing how we see. So, do we see from bottom up to up, or we see from top down, or we see from you see where do we see from is very important. Okay, and here you see this is the general kind of thing. This bird, this look at now indexical, these pictures. Okay, so you see this indexical. Now this is of course iconic, a car, but at the same time this car is like a toy. So in the imagination, Dalit imagination, the tribal imagination, uh, now if you look at the uh, the speech bubbles. Now the speech bubbles. Okay, the speech bubble here and the speech bubble here. In the entire book, you will notice the speech bubble. So if the speech bubble is like this, so what does it? What this is indexical. This is indexical, which means fire. Smoke suggests fire. So what can this suggest? Anyone? This kind of speech bubble. Anyone please say something about this? This speech bubble, does it look like a scorpion's tail, a sting? And What does this look? This speech bubble, and this is the sting. Okay, so you see, I mean, uh, this is
It
the
looks like
difference.
cloud.
Huh? This no, this one is more like a bird, and this is venom here, venom, poisonous. Okay, so okay, so this is poisonous, and this is uh, this is a uh, bird chirping or saying. I mean, what are the needs of a bird? Does a bird want to colonize? So when you want to colonize, take away other people's political rights, their privileges, or you want to be unfair, then you speak a language that has a sting. Okay, so this this autonomy and this colonizing idea to colonize. Okay, so whoever speaks a colonizing language actually leaves a poisonous message. Okay, so colonizing or oppressive, okay, or unjust, okay, or denying, privileges, okay, or you see what you say, stinging, okay, uh, something like that. So biting, okay, and here you see birds idea is to have space, to have water, to have food, nothing else, not more than that. Okay, so if you look at this, uh, so check this, these are some regular things that will occur. And here, when the another important thing about it is that when the uh, here the page number, okay, here the page number, what is it? Can you just think of it? What kind of page number is this? Yeah, here you have a cow also. Okay, so this is an urban area, and uh, yeah, this is the page number. Okay, here. So birds, then a fish, for example, fish disappearing. So you are turning over. Please turn over. Okay, this is a kind of PTO. Please turn over the page. So the fish is asking you to do that. Okay, the fish is asking you to do that. So you notice this, and then this cow here. Okay, so amazed, amazed at this conversation about human being. Okay, and now look at this. What kind of indexical image? What kind of index is this? You see, look at these birds here. Okay, and then super qualified, stuck in a dead end job. That's my fate. So this person think, well, and then I blame these damn job quotas for backward and scheduled caste. It isn't fair. Okay, so this is and well, caste isn't fair, and this person is saying, well, caste isn't fair. So this is the dialogue. So what you notice here, say caste is 3,000 year old and quotas are 80 year old. So this girl is saying, well, say she's asking the basic fundamental question: is caste isn't fair. You give up caste, you give up all that superiority, you give up your Brahminhood or your upper casteness, and all that paraphernalia you carry every day and in every relationship, and then you give up the idea of marrying endogamy, that is only looking for upper caste, looking for upper caste male or female or like that. So you see, this begins with this contemporary note of the conflict where the misconceptions are spread like fake news, and they matter. They motivate a lot of people uh, to become anti-reservationist but not anti-caste. So anti-caste is more important for India's progress than anti-reservation, because reservation is two end, because it cannot be a solution. This cannot be a solution. Solution is the annihilation of caste. That is a very important essay. Is this in the background of your work? I mean, in your popular literature, uh, prose reading, do you have Annihilation of Caste, Ambedkar's essay? Hello, will
Yes,
somebody?
sir. Maybe.
You have that. Okay, so that is a very important essay, and so that essay talks about the complete destruction of caste system, not no no reform like Gandhi did, no reform like other upper caste people suggest, no sympathy, no empathy, but annihilation. So Ambedkar stood for annihilation. No, he did not stand for. That is why his visual image does not compromise with any sympathy. Okay, he doesn't want to derive any sympathy from India's costume, India's religions, or India's sastras, or India's traditions. He doesn't want to, because all of them have failed to destroy the caste system, and they have not failed, rather they have somehow brought up, somehow cultivated, and somehow maintained that heinous criminal social design that has resulted uh, into you see atrocities, into dehumanization, into stigma, you know all that. So this is the note of it. Okay, and then yeah, so it this now you see gives you some background. Uh, background here means that what is happening in real day life every day. So we come across in the popular media, popular imagination. I think in last, if you look at the women being raped and killed in India in last 1 year or 2 years, then the majority of them are not only majority, 99% of them are Dalit. And then, if you look at marriage parties being attacked for using ghoda or something like that, or then during Corona, if upper caste people found a cook, whether a man or woman, a Dalit, being employed by government during Corona period for giving food to the people in quarantine, then they attacked that woman or that man. They threw away the chapatis and all that. So you see, we see that entire behavior which we have in our day-to-day life that appears, and there are number of news items. Although lot of things are censored by media, lot of things that will provoke society, they don't show. Okay, but here you can see different cuttings of news. Okay, and you can take the screenshots of this if you don't have the book at the same time. Okay, so you can see untouchability alive and kicking. This is very important. Okay, important in the sense that for us to understand the idea of India, modern India, is to understand this alive and kicking tradition of untouchability in India. Okay, and now you say, look in the visuals. In the visual, you hear axes. Okay, and So, and look at the ferocity, the wilderness, and the cruelty. So in here in this visual space, you have symbolic, okay, media representation, popular imagination, and then you have here iconic. These are the pictures where you see that man, woman, girls, boys, they're talking. Then at the same time you have indexical, for example, these animals here, okay, okay, and then you see that the hands, for example, here, okay. So what we see here, the imagination of Dalit art, say this. So these arrows are different and they have hands, they have eyes, they have eyes. So you see, they have eyes, and then this kind of thing, okay, this sting, and then this uh, assertion of curiosity, assertion of existence, okay, and you see the denial. Then you look at this, how uh, this is there, and it is there. If as a Dalit I speak in my village, then this scene will take place in the evening. I mean, you can't believe it. Even in Delhi, it will take place. Okay, so look at these visuals. Okay, all of them are, you see, look at these visuals. Okay, but at the same time, you see the uh, impact of the Dalit art. You see, now these human beings, okay, are they dead bodies, oppressed, killed, and as we have killed, for example, the sparrows in all the metropolitan cities and everywhere, they have disappeared. Okay, I can't see them anymore. Similarly, you see, so we can see our cruelty to nature, our cruelty to animals, cruelty to, so so you see, we are not able to understand our madness. Okay, so this is, this is definitely madness which has been accepted, whether to nature, to human, to gender, to caste, to marginal people, and like that. So uh, we have failed to understand our collective madness, and in no doubt, uh, in no I mean, there is no doubt that unless we understand this madness, okay, there will not be any cure. So here you have these different news items from Keralanji. Now you see, if we revisualize this, then we can put here lot of other news items here. So this can be one complete assignment. For example, somebody picks up newspaper items from news digital media, cut and paste them, you can create a collage, how untouchability alive and kicking in India. Okay, so uh, I'm giving you that suggestion. Okay, and now it goes on. So pages are, you see, so whenever you the page is going, then the fish is also going. Okay. This is interesting. I love these brilliant, these fishes. Okay, the tail of the fish, and story is progressing. Okay, so what we see here is, yeah. Can you see what is it possible for you to see and read this page? What is happening here?
Yes, sir. If we zoom in, we can.
Okay, and can you see symbolic and iconic and then indexical?
Yes, sir.
What are in indexical things here? Hmm. What are the indexical things here? Huh. There are people here, 11 people, so others can also talk about. हाँ बताइए भाई, कोई बोलेगा? आकांक्षा? ईशा, मुक्ता, तुषार, वैशाली, Tushar, Drishti. Drishti, do you understand this all now? Hello? कुछ बोलो, बोलने से आगे बढ़ेगी बात. ये दिस इज अ प्ले, दिस इज अ गेम. बॉल को थोड़ा सा हिला दो, किक करो. हाँ. Somebody speak. Can you see what is iconic here? Is there something that is indexical here? You see, now meaning area has started. I mean, the meaning area has started. So it's not only iconic. Everywhere you seem to see indexical. I mean, there are a lot of suggestions. The language, the visual language is giving a lot of suggestions. For say, if I ask you, somebody is saying, my mic is not working. Okay. So, uh, so if you look at this image, for example, okay. Now, this image is suggesting something. There is suggestion here. Okay. Then there is suggestion here, isn't it? It's not just icon. Yeah. Now there is a suggestion here. There is icon, iconography. Icons are here. Okay. Ambedkar and but there is suggestion. And I have already explained the suggestibility of meaning in these speech bubbles. And similarly here, if you look at this picture, okay, each picture is you see now what is being suggested here. Okay, what is being suggested here? This is a full story. Okay, I mean this this pipe is coming from these houses, and this kind of the dirty water and all. And here you have the sweepers, and you see, look at this these eyes. Okay, and then if you look at this picture, okay, and who is standing here? Okay, and is it somebody who is waiting? And what is the distance between the two here? This is the distance. Look at this distance between the two. Okay, so everywhere you can see the significance. I mean, how the system is working here. Okay, so Ambedkar as statues uh, outnumber Gandhi and Nehru's, but the people know about his life or work. But what is written here? Can you read this? So you see how this novel, what we call novel, why do we call it a graphic novel? Yeah, who will speak about why do we call it a graphic novel? Even we are just beginning, we haven't started properly. That is, we haven't reached to the water section. So what makes it a novel? Yeah, somebody speak about it. Vaishali? Huh.
Yes, sir.
Do you think what makes it a novel, graphic
Because
novel?
sir, it tells a story.
No, novel is a big thing, 300 pages, 200 pages, and a story is very small. That is, it has one effect, one dimension, a story. A novel has several effects, so many stories, so many episodes, and it
Yes.
is, yeah,
So,
please.
similar like a novel has like it is a 300 page text which has a lot of subplots of stories going on in it. And so in this graphic novel of Vimayana, we just not have the text of Ambedkar, or we just don't know the story of Ambedkar. We also get to know about the other various other stories, like these images are depicting what is the culture of Dalit art,
mm,
and how were the things happening in that village where only Dalit people were allowed to, work, and they did not get any payments and all that stuff through
mm,
the dialogues
mm.
and every icons which are made over here. So that is why it is called a novel, because it tells a lot of stories, not just a single story. It's a
Yes,
polyphonic voices are there in this
are
novel.
there. Okay. So one thing is that one picture, for example, this visual is worth of 2 pages, 1 pages, 3 pages. I mean, if we want to say this kind of thing, okay. So you see the graphic language, the visual language. Therefore, why is it why is it a novel? Because it has a huge canvas. If we open up all the pages and put them together, then that would become a huge canvas. Okay, and that huge canvas will tell the episodes. We have 3 episodes: episodes of water, episode on shelter, episode on travel. But at the same time, the visuals depict, uh, not only depict, they are indexical. They are indexical. Indexical. When I use the word indexical, what do I mean by that? Yes, Vaishali? When I use the word indexical, what do I mean by that? Drishti Kochar, are you here? We have so many pages to do. Let us
Yes, sir.
okay, Drishti, when I use the word indexical, what do I mean?
Sorry, sir.
When I use the word indexical, what do I mean by that?
Um, sir, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Um,
that is three concepts. One was symbolic, another was iconic, and the third was
Sir,
indexical.
actually, I got disconnected for in mid, so I don't know about it much.
No, in the beginning, I explained that. Or you got disconnected in the middle of when I was explaining.
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, my Wi-Fi is not working properly. I'm
Right.
getting disconnected and connecting itself, again and again.
Okay.
So it's quite.
But you see, this is important for all of you to understand these three words. Otherwise, this entire teaching will be more like a ritual. I'm explaining God, and you are all sitting there. And at the end of the day, uh, you will ask, "Where is the God?" And I will say that I have explained it. So it is important that symbolic is about the language: French, English, Hindi, Sanskrit. Icon means pictures. Icon means picture. Indexical means pictures that suggest more meaning, connotations, or they are metaphors. They are metaphors. So indexical is something like visual metaphors. Visual metaphors. So one picture, for example. Yes, Vaishali, do you want to say something?
Yes, sir. Like if we go by indexical, then we get to know about that how, like on the black and white images, we have men who are working. Like some all the men are somewhat working in some or the other sense. So उससे पता चलता है कि they are like a hardworking people who need to work to get their living done. So that is shown, and then there is this another image where there is a guy with the turban, and then there are two other people who are like standing, like it's a kind of a shop, and then
Ah,
they need to buy something. So that
right,
is there.
right.
So
So
this is like in Dixie.
here you see what is written here in this uh, in this digna. These are digna. Okay, I try. Once I said that another word is digna. Digna means the divisions. these lines, these divisions. Okay, divisions. So in graphic novel, industrial graphic novel, you have strips. But in tribal art, particularly Gond art, they have used the frame of the art, they have used as the uh, device to divide. So these divisions have become also very, very interesting, natural, uh, and like leaf. For example, this is what is written here. Can you read this about shop, especially? Hello. Okay. So what is written here about the shop?
That they need to stand outside the shop to buy spices because
Ah,
it's a Hindu shop.
yes. So this person is standing here. Okay. And they are able to touch here. But you see, they have to keep a distance. And somebody is seeing them. This seeing, what does it mean? What is written here?
Um,
What is written here? This
Sir, it's written this was how Dalits across India lived for a long, long time.
Yes. So you see, can you understand this I and this space, which means observation. Somebody history is observing. This is time in a way, you know. So time or history observing. So I mean, the locations of different visuals is very important. We understand the location. Okay. Similarly, here, what is written here on this?
On
Can you read?
14th April 1891, he was born into a Mahar family, the
Ah,
14th child of Bhima and Ramji Sakpal.
yes. So this is the year of birth, 1891. And then what are written here? It is one is this
I
bubble.
This one, sir.
This
Uh,
one. First you speak this sparrow bubble, then
I had
scorpion bubble.
read Ambedkar. If I were you, I had want to understand what happened in Kailanji and why two Dalits are killed every day in India. Ambedkar,
Yes.
the
Ah,
guy in all those statues. Sorry, sir.
okay. There was a firecracker outside, so maybe you heard it. Um, we are a firecracking country. Yes. So here and here, can you read this?
Where, sir, please point it out again.
Yeah, this one.
Okay, sir, 1 minute, I'm zooming in. I forgot you are from South. People of Mahar caste were among the untouchable in Western India, like
Hmm.
Pariahs and Mallas in the South.
Yes. Okay. Perias and Malas in the south. Huh? So you see here the past. Now Ambedkar, his statues outnumber Gandhi's and Nehru's, but few people know about his life or work. Now here you have these three major icons: Gandhi, Nehru, and Ambedkar. Now you can say it doesn't look like Gandhi or doesn't look like Nehru, doesn't look like. Okay, so maybe can you hear the firecrackers?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So still nostalgia of Diwali. Okay, so you see here, you see the Dalit art uh, does not reproduce something in a perspective like it is. Dalit art uses a perspective of its own tradition of constructing a visual that this tradition has or stands as a language for, not as, so for example, if you want to learn this art, then you have to go to Gonds. But if you want to learn that art which presents somebody in an image as somebody was, then you can go to any art college. They will teach you perspective, they will teach you drawing, and they can teach you how to make somebody sit before you and then draw. Okay, and that is a universal language they have developed, the universal language of perspective. For example, they can draw, they can build a city, but this is not a universal language. This is the Gond language, the Dalit language. And this language preserves its culture in a holistic manner. This does not want to colonize anything. Okay, so one can be afraid of the dangers of universal language. Okay, I mean, it's good to have a local language that was developed over past centuries, and that is sustainable because it respects everything. Okay, and not encroaching the lives of other people. Okay, and exploiting them for certain reasons. In any way, we go ahead, and here we have book one. So with this problem being introduced to us, the problem of present and past and the history that is made by Gandhi, Nehru, and Ambedkar. And so among all that, contemporary current news items, atrocities, Dalits, and all that, this novels, uh, novel novel's problematic area, problem of the novel, that is the caste question, which we call caste question, has been prefaced or introduced in the first 2 3 pages. And that is factual, means most of the things are either historical or reported in the media, or you can also read them in media every day. That caste question still stands as if it is the most imposing and dominant question of our country. The day we solve it, perhaps we will be one of the greatest nations in the world. Yes, this is holding us back. This has sucked up our energy. This divides people. This spreads poverty. This spreads inequality. This spread uh, human uh, dehumanization, stigmatize. Look at, if we do that to around 60% population of our country, then it's not possible to really grow, to become something that this country wants to be. Okay, so the book one begins, and what do you notice in this visual? What is indexical here? Yeah, indexical in the number. Yeah, this is one, the way they have drawn. So you will notice it that one is not one, the standard one that we find in the modern mathematics, which is universal, found in the entire world. The tribal one or the Gond art one is their one, and that most of the images they derive from nature. Okay, so their understanding is not, they cannot separate their mathematics from their uh, environment. So their knowledge and their environment are very closely related, and that helps sustainability. It is not a knowledge that has been divorced, and you have now separated one from one, and it has become a meaningful in itself, and you can take it anywhere and apply it anywhere. Okay, so so this is important. This, what we call the epistemology, visual epistemology, visual epistemology, so that you can notice. I Let me put visual Epistemology. Visual epistemology. Okay, so you have to understand that what is visual epistemology is. Does somebody know here? Okay, so one thing we have ontology. Okay, ontology, visual ontology, visual epistemology. Ontology means how the how things exist and how we report them. Okay, and epistemology means the history of knowledge. History of knowledge. How do I know mathematics? Uh, what is the knowledge of mathematics historically? How it has been historically maintained epistemologically? Knowledge history in a way. Okay, so uh, knowledge history uh, and representation. Okay, for example, how what Dalit means, what Harijan means epistemologically. So now look at the water and the word book. So they have used the way they have uh, made the English letters into their own kind of art. What do you notice here in book? So far as visual art is concerned, I mean indexicality, indexicality. Yeah, what is the indexicality here?
It's like fish like creatures that form the word book, if you
Are
say.
they fish? Are
Yes,
all,
fish.
are all of them are fish?
Not all.
But they
Mm,
are some water animals.
yeah, some kind of water creatures only.
And all of them have eyes.
Yes, sir.
So do these letters have? B has 3 eyes. O has 4 eyes. O has 4 eyes. How many eyes are there in K?
Three.
3. Now, what is the significance of letters having eyes and life? What is the significance of? You see, generally we would write this like uh, B double O K, and they do not have uh, these letters do not have uh, say. What is the difference among these two? What is the difference among these two? Say this kind of and this. How do you differentiate the two? Yes, this and this. Now this is Gond. Okay. Now Gond art, uh, Gond art world view, Gond art world view, or Dalit world view is hmm, is based on environmental sustainability. Okay. So, what do you notice here? Somebody can talk about this, the difference between this B double OK and this B double OK? हाँ बोलिए. Similarly here, water. Here, here we can see fish. Here we can see fish. Okay. And these Okay, and this is what? This one, this one, yeah. What is the indexicality of this one? I mean, indexicality means um,
Visual metaphor.
visual metaphor. Yes, visual metaphor. And the proper, uh, say, in aesthetics, we can say if something is suggestive of so many things, suggestive of history, suggestive of existence, suggestive of beauty, suggestive of culture, of religion, of mythology. So you see, look at that metaphor is the richest metaphor. Why? Because that metaphor in itself is epic, episodic. It has so many episodes related to it. So this metaphor, for example, one is no more one. It's no more a counting or measuring unit. You know. So what do we notice here? That the measuring unit and the object which it is measuring is the same. So this oneness in the art, Gond art, that is wherever we will visit, we will not find the separation. The mind and body separation is a very, very modern, colonial, and imperialistic and profit oriented capitalistic design. This this separating one from the uh, for example, if I say cup, okay, so you see, now if I turn, now idea is not that one does not matter, okay, it matters, but you see how it is not divorced from the application. Say mathematics when divorced from the application. Here I am a shepherd, and as a shepherd I have sheep, so I know sheep, how many sheep. But at the same time, I also know when I say I have cows, and I have one cow. But when I say one cow, at the same time, I know that cow. I know the eyes of that cow, the ears of that cow, the face of that cow. I know that cow lived with us for 20 years. I know that cow. So, for example, say in my childhood, for example, if I just pick up one of the cows, I can tell you, I can write a novel on that cow, one cow, because I lived maybe 15 years with that cow. And I can tell you the day she died, we all wept, the entire family wept. Then we thought of digging a huge trench and bury her. I mean, we were so emotional. So finally, people persuaded us that don't do this kind of thing. Let it go. I mean, the way we do it. So you see, that one is a 15-year lived experience. So it's not just one, you know. So when you divorce the two, like in mathematics, at one point we become algebra, and then we become, negative numbers. Of course, we use them. But if you look at the history of last 200 years, 300 years, as mathematics has got separated from application of our environment, it has become an imperialistic design. Today we have more poverty, today we have more destruction, more environmental pollution. Our rivers have died, our birds have died, lot of our animals have died, and we are at a in a time when it is impossible, it is difficult to see what will be our future after 50 years. What is behind this? The knowledge of mathematics, which is divorced, separated, isolated from the real. Okay, so we are applying this mathematics now, how to really encroach, how to get into, how to, we are into that kind of psychology. Gond art resists this idea. Gond art or Dalit art definitely will resist this idea, because it is not an art or a worldview that will encroach. Rather, it will tell us that the human system of science, whether of languages, and mathematics is also one of the languages, and these science systems should not be separated from their environment in which they were created. And we should not apply them to other environments. So if we develop a certain mathematical thing and certain kinds of thing in UK, and if we apply that mathematics to the rest of the world, then we become an empire and we colonize the world. Ultimately, where do we reach? Okay, so this application is a very crucial area. I mean, the nowadays we find a lot of people who know something and they will apply anywhere. Okay, because the world is now like this, that you go and earn, you become, successful. So everything, all competition, success, first award, and you know beauty queen and star, and everybody is in that one, because they have a tool and they can apply anywhere. And ultimately, for example, the coffee. So as soon as coffee's crop and then it was applied to the rest of the world, for example in South America, you see, because of coffee crops, uh, 80% of the birds of different kinds in South America have died, because there is just one crop. So, and birds can't survive without diversity. So this is very important in Dalit art, and you'll see in the entire novel. You will see this in an entire novel. Whenever you are passing through, you will see this diversity, this environment, this sustainability of Dalit art and all. I read one paper on this entire issue, sustainability, environment, and all that on Bhimaina in an international conference. Maybe, and I have slides I can share with you that you can see that. But when you pass through the graphic, simply think that this art is based on the environment, and the epistemology or the knowledge system is not to be separated from that environment, and it is not to be separated and applied to other environments and encroach more from there. Is the time over?
Sir, it's 5 minutes only. If you could tell us what is the assignment
Yes. So
of the
assignment
project.
will be is on Bhimaina, and that is putting all these pages together, and you are simply uh, talking about the symbolic, iconic, and indexical. Okay, images in these
So I
three
just
aspects.
wanted to ask, have you taken the attendance?
Just a minute. Let me explain one thing.
Actually, so we have class right now.
No, no
Gee.
problem. No problem. I'm just. We have 5 minutes. Somebody told me. Huh?
Sir, it's 3 minutes, like
थ्री
right now.
मिनट ओके, ठीक है. अब तो हम डिजिटल वर्ल्ड में रहते हैं, तुम्हें फिजिकल डिस्टेंस क्रिएट नहीं में जाना है.
And so it will be only unit that we'll be able to do our assignment, like not any other unit if we choose to do so.
No, on Bhimaina. Our assignment is on Bhimaina, and the topic of the assignment, I would not say assignment, I am giving it as a project. Okay, project means that you have to go through this entire book and then answer this question, and most of the questions will be screenshots. You put them together. I don't want more and more language there, but I want sentences that are thoughtful and they are indicative of the thematic aspects of this project. So this is a project on Bhimaina, exploring. The title is, I just write here, exploring symbolic, iconic, and indexical languages and their relationships. Okay, and relationship I have discussed today. They are political, cultural, historical, caste question, and all like that. So I'll put that in the group also.
Sir, so basically there will be a question paper which we will have to answer on Bhimayana.
Yes, I will give you a topic and a question. Okay, and that topic is of the project, and on just you see pages. On every page you have to write maybe 2 sentences or 1 sentence, put the image of the page there, okay, in a short way. For example, I have explained what is the cover page, uh, how does it differ, something on Gond art, something on the difference between Gond art and the art that was developed in the Renaissance perspective, differentiating from modern graphic art, then the history of the uh, visual space, okay, then popular imagination. So I will make a list of the questions, maybe 8, 10 questions, and you can answer them. But everywhere you have to support your answer by taking images, cropping images, etc., from the text and make it. Okay. So I'm taking the attendance. Bye, bye, bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye, bye, bye.